But women watching our show, they can say, oh, no, hey, when I go on a date, like the guy, like I need to have some standards. Like he needs to take care of me. He needs to pay for
100%.
things. He needs to, how many times have I gotten by as a guy? As like, oh yeah, we'll go out for a couple of drinks.
Yeah, that's how we went on our first date.
But
I'm
like not letting a guy get away with that, because you know what he's thinking when he's like, I'm like, okay, it's minimum investment in order to get laid. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but I knew you weren't getting laid, so I was like, all right.
Yeah, I saw a nipple note, but
That's all you get.
Beyond the perfect we discover through our flaws, we complete each other. Better than perfect we stay. Through every fault we find our way.
All right, welcome back to the Better Than Perfect podcast, where every week we share with you how two imperfect people helping each other grow equals one better than perfect relationship. And today we have some special guests.
First guest.
Yes, our first guests, John and Sabrina Broderick. And they're friends of ours that we talked about their infamous week-long wedding. And so,
that was us.
With the community, and they made us the little jumpsuits that we wore.
Exactly, yeah.
We wore them on the
two
podcast.
more
I know, I
imperfect
saw.
people that
Yeah.
are
That helping each other grow.
trying to be perfect for each other. Yeah.
Hey.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's why you guys make perfect first guests for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yay! It's so much fun to be your guys' first guest.
Yeah, we're super excited.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess we start off with our little small talk about what's going on. What anything interesting you guys have encountered in, I don't know.
Oh yeah, like
I mean, we just got married, so
That's
That's
pretty interesting or like pretty epic, honestly.
yeah, no, your wedding was insanely epic.
Yeah, it was basically like a week-long festival with our friends.
And
So
it was just so beautiful and like spiritual and
It was beautiful to hear, like, one, to experience, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Two, like, how many people felt like recommitted in their relationships, or like not recommitted, but like rejoined in their relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Through
the
the
energy
love.
was just like such full of love energy that we had a
was.
bunch of people that
you
were just
inspired.
like, yeah, it felt like it. It felt like there was a lot of like inspiration around connection and love.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you
so we're
did
super grateful for it.
inspire 26, 25 people to get a
26.
tattoo.
Yeah.
So
26 people got matching
we all got
tattoos.
tattoos.
yeah. So I would say it was very inspiring.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's been the big excitement. I mean,
Yeah.
freshly married, I think just saying wife is an awesome feeling.
I love saying husband,
No.
like posting on Instagram, like, I got my husband this.
Yeah.
Right.
And then having my best friend respond, husband? I'm like, yes, he's my husband.
Yeah. So it's all fresh and new and really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it feel any different?
It does. I think like just the difference from fiance to husband, it solidifies it.
Yeah.
Like it's official.
Right.
And we actually made it Facebook official.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you
yeah.
did?
Yeah,
Okay.
he-
Wait,
Okay.
did I do that?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I just wasn't on Facebook for weeks, and she's like, "Oh, it's official on Facebook, but it's not yet until you accept it." I was like, "Shit, I just had to be on Facebook."
Now you got me thinking, I'm like,
Now we're
did I
official.
make ours official?
Yeah, otherwise I can tell, because otherwise guys would be hitting you up on Facebook.
Oh, you think so? I mean, I changed my name on there. I know that.
Yeah.
But
And did all the name changes on like Facebook, Instagram. I still haven't. We have to pick up our.
We'll have to
marriage
do the legal one, but I
certificate.
think that we got past, changing passports, all
Yeah.
that's gonna
Yeah.
be a headache. So
Yeah, it's a
we'll
little
take
But
our
like,
time on that.
like socially, my name is now Sabrina Broderick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even
maybe.
in the book that we're book clubbing right now, like one of the quotes, it said Sabrina B. I don't know. Did you
like,
notice that?
hey.
Yeah.
I was like,
Like,
that's
that's
me.
me.
It's like a synchronicity.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, I mean, the changing your name process too is long, but it's not actually as bad as you think it is. Like it
Yeah.
gets I feel like the passport part is like the most.
We just have
annoying.
upcoming
We're
travels,
sitting
so we're
there.
like, all right,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
waiting until
Oh.
we get those done. And
Yeah,
then-
Yeah, we
best
had a
to
weird
wait.
thing with booking the airline tickets in one name, and then when you change the airline ticket, you have to show the new passport and send them that. It's like,
yeah.
I'm just gonna come with like a
like all the
files. These are my names.
What do you mean?
all the aliases.
We have all the things.
Yeah.
Is it weird like hearing your new last name
No,
or
I
like
love
writing it?
I love it. It's so cute. It's Sabrina B.
I feel
Sabrina
like
Broderick.
it's hard. Sometimes we'll go to like Chick-fil-A or something and they'll be like, Nicole S. And I'm like, that's not me. I'm
Yeah.
Nicole H. And then I'm like, oh, wait, no, I am Nicole
Oh,
S.
she was like practicing her signature for.
Oh, so
like,
you were
months
like,
leading up
all
to
right.
it.
I don't
like,
even know
into
your maiden name.
Hazelwood.
Oh,
Hazelwood.
But,
That's a
yeah,
pretty
I made
last
it
name.
my middle name actually because I was like, my middle name was Marie. I'm like, everybody has a middle name that's either Nicole or Marie
Yeah.
or Anne or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, I could keep my old last name as my middle name, but it's a long middle name. But
Yeah.
it's pretty though.
I mean, yeah, it's like
Well, I was the only Sabrina Sagat, actually. Like, if you Google
Ever?
me,
Yeah.
ever.
She was like the only one that would come
And-
up on a Google search.
So, like, but even letting that go, it feels good. It's like we're the Brodericks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it makes you like solid.
No, it's so cute. And then when we came home from our wedding, our friends Dane and Lauren put on a piece of
Just like white paper.
Paper
Just like-
towel.
paper
yeah,
towel.
I
yeah.
saw it.
Yeah.
Mr. and Welcome home, Mr. and Mrs. Broderick, and then just taped it to our
It's still
kitchen.
up.
It's
It
still
was
up.
Yeah, we
so
got it.
cute.
We still
I
have
saw
it.
it when we were at your house. Like,
It's probably
that's
going to stay up
adorable.
until we move.
You should frame it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we love it.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
All right. Well, I guess let's get into the episode. The topic for today that we talked about is modern traditional relationships. So basically, the polarity dynamics between masculine and feminine, and how that has changed for us, and in embracing kind of So
Yeah, and I think that that's something that a lot of modern society kind of skews people away from these days is the idea of like a man providing for a woman and a woman taking a more, feminine role. I mean, we're seeing a lot of this like modern day feminism push away from that. But I guess it's maybe not for everyone, but for us, the idea of, me taking on the masculine role, her relaxing into her feminine, me providing, her being the heart of the home. I think, just for us specifically, and I can't speak for everyone, but it works really well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, even when we first started dating, like, years ago, before we were, like, boyfriend, girlfriend, it was, like, you were looking for someone that was more so, like, CEO, like, can keep up with you.
Yeah, I thought I wanted like someone that was going to be more professionally driven, and I think that was kind of driven into me through my upbringing. Is like, a lot of the media and everything today, points at these like strong, powerful women that are like crushing their careers, and I thought that that's what I wanted. And then through all these other relationships, I would date these types of girls, and within a couple months, there'd be like this clashing.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like we're both living in our masculine. We're both bringing home the stress of work. And then all of a sudden you have basically like two dudes in a house at the end of the day.
Yeah.
This is like really being the man myself and allowing my woman to be like a soft, beautiful, feminine woman.
Yeah. We talk about all the time about how it's like guys try to turn their woman into a bro, and they don't realize it. It's because as a man, you think, all right, all this stuff that I'm doing for my goals and my self-improvement as a man, now let me help my woman do this. Obviously, she wants to wake up at 5 a.m. and go, bust ass and hit the gym. And it's like, did you write down your goals? And it's like, our trainer, and because that's what you would do for a dude that you care about, you would help him out. But it's like it's well meant, but you're turning a woman into a man. And because a woman has the feminine has a different drive. It's not about breaking through barriers and accomplishing goals and getting stuff done. Although a woman can obviously do those things, but yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like we mean well. A lot of guys mean well in doing that, but they don't realize they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Well, I think too, it's a lot of people being afraid, right? Like we're taught as women, have your own money, or even when you get with a man, like have a stash in case he leaves you, or like as a man, you're like, get another woman who's, providing. So it's not all on you. I feel like it's very like fear mindset that is being perpetuated. And the only way personally that I think that both men and women can invest 100% in a relationship is a traditional relationship. Because as a man, you're investing the thing that scares you the most, which is financially a lot of the time. And then women, we're investing like staying home and not having a job, and, like our prime years are spent with one person and we're starting a family. And so like that, and we're not having a backup account of money stashed away because we'll just run away if something happens. It's like really investing, and that makes you work extra hard to make the relationship work and be what you want it to be.
100%. And like to piggyback off like what society does, it's like we've been almost like trained to think like, don't trust each other, blah, 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 blah. Like protect yourself. But it's like, where is the trust, and like how can you bring it into like a sanctity of a marriage, and like of like, hey, I can handle this portion of our life and you can handle this portion. Because I think when you stop differentiating between, this is your job, this is your job, it becomes one, and you realize that you can't have one without the other, right? Like a well-run oiled machine, it needs the two. It needs the polarity.
Exactly.
And we find that a lot, in our home, it's just like if everything's kept up clean, like Reggie's taking care, Reggie's our dog. House is like, everything's cute and vibey and nice. Then he's like ready to like crush work calls. But like, let's say, I still work from time to time, every once in a while, not really much often.
So you're enjoying your feminine time.
I am. I'm like fully been able to like in the last few months, I've been able to like not have to work as much. And it's just created like a much better, like safer household. And I feel like a little part of me has like held on to like wanting to work, but because that's like what society is like ingraining in me, is like, I have to do this, I have to do that. And I don't have to do that. Like you've got it.
Yeah, I got it. And that's the thing is when I'm get up in the morning and the place is dialed like that. Kitchen's nice and clean. Everything feels nice. There's like a nice smelling candle lit. Like whatever it is, like there's like this like soft home.
Right.
I don't have the distractions of all that, and I can just dial in and go do my part.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about cleaning it up or like
it's just
working, like doing
just
that.
It's not living in that part of your brain that's just like, things have to get handled. Like she's got that handled. And then like when I trust that, then I can just focus on going out and making money and just like providing for us.
Yeah, I always think about it as it's like a rocket ship, right? So you can have it where you've got two rockets and they're both going and you're like, oh, well, it's double, right? Because it's twice as much because we've got two rockets.
Yeah.
But it's more powerful if you have one big rocket and then the man is the rocket and the woman is the fuel to that rocket. Because then that rocket's going so much further. And it's like, just from what I discovered as a man is that, if Nicole is there supporting me, right? Yeah, I can do more. It's a synergistic effect, right? Like one and one, we could do the outcome of two people. But with her supporting me, giving me the fuel that I need, the feminine energy, then my output might be 5x, which is so much better. And that's a better place to, to live. Plus, it's also more of our natural, right? As a man, I want to go out and conquer things. As a woman, she's more like enjoying the moment, the present moment. And that's not her mode. So
it's funny that you said that because you just said that.
You know what's funny though? That came from John. Him and I were talking about it. We went on a hike some time ago, and he said that to me, and it stuck with me. And I think it's so true. Is that like for me to just crush it, I just need that fuel, and that fuel is like that love and that open heart and all these things that traditionally maybe aren't as natural to us.
It's all the attention to detail, which like, yes, like I think men have a better idea of like the grand big picture and are very much better at like going steadfast that way. But women are the details, the intricacies within the home, within like the relationship, like children, dogs, like all encompasses, that's where we come in. Like,
and just our power is just, I mean, it's like you said, it's like 5 or 10x when everything else is, fueling us like that.
Well, I feel like as women too, and I'm curious if you feel this way, that ever since John has kind of taken on the masculine responsibilities and I don't have to worry about that, I've been more feminine, but I've also been able to like love deeper and express that to people better than when I had all the masculine responsibilities on me as well, too.
For
I'll
sure.
speak to that. Like, if I'm not living in my masculine, if I'm not handling shit, things at home go awry. Like, it
Right.
just starts to like feel off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, sometimes I'm like, and what's going on here? You're trying to like identify it. And if
Yeah.
you turn that around and look inward, and I'm like, well, wait, how am I showing up right now?
Right.
Oh man, I haven't like set the tone. I haven't been assertive about things. I'm like, shit, like I'm not handling things like a man does. All right, switch that. All of a sudden I start like taking initiative and handling stuff. Everything else, our relationship just comes like right back into harmony.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that like a lot of men that I meet, they'll have their things to say about their relationship and their wife. And it's like, well, they're like talking about everything that their wife might be doing that's off. And it's
Right.
like, well, how are you showing up? Because
Yeah.
if you're showing up and you're not thinking about what she's doing, if you're just focused on what you're doing, you're not going to have to worry about what she's doing because it's all going to work well.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if I'm just like, don't worry about what she's doing. Let me just show up as hard as I can in my role. Then
I'm like,
she exactly flourishes, and then she handles all her shit because I'm leading the way of like, hey, we're getting shit done. She starts getting shit done. But if I'm just kind of like, oh, things aren't getting done, what's she doing over there?
Yeah.
Then she's just sitting there like, well, I'm just chilling because he ain't doing shit. So
Well, the woman is a flower. The flower has to bloom. You can't look at the flower and be like, why aren't you blooming? Like, you need to bloom.
Yeah,
And then
bloom.
I'll
What are
water
you-
you. It's like, it has to be watered first. It has to get the nutrients in order to bloom. And if you're looking for it to bloom first and criticizing the flower for not blooming, it's because you're the gardener. Like, that's why.
100%. And I've even used like my environment, like in previous relationships in comparison, like, right? I was never in an environment that I felt like I could truly feel my truest, highest self versus when I'm with you. Like, you have truly given me the opportunity and the environment to like bloom into my like femininity. And it's so empowering to be able to feel creative, loved, like happy, joyful, like have these woman connections that like I didn't have in the past, right? And like my brain is sparking on so many different like things, I guess. I don't know.
That you didn't like notice before
No,
because you weren't in that like super feminine space. Cause that's how I felt too. I'm like, I had, good connections, but I didn't have like really feminine women that had men that were taking care of stuff. And I didn't know how that changes you until I became that. But I love that you guys are first guests too, because we sit here and we talk about a lot of this stuff, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, yeah, right. Or like, they don't believe it. But you guys being here, like, you're also a testament to what we talk about all the time. And you both were in.
And I can speak to the fact that this isn't something that I've had dialed for my whole life. Like,
well, that's what makes it so profound.
I was not living like this, right? Like, I was living with, the societal, be careful with women. They, watch out for gold diggers. Like, these girls are just, and so like society kind of pressed this, don't do this. Don't
trust women.
Yeah, don't trust women. Don't, you want someone who's going to contribute 50-50, all this shit. And so like I was accepting that as like, maybe that's the way things should be. And then as soon as I myself made that shift and was like, no, you know what? Like, let's try to show up in this like kind of new way of like, let me just be the masculine male. Let me handle shit. And then I got to see the changes, like even with her, like for a lot of the time we were dating, we weren't in this style
polarity.
Of role. Yeah, we didn't have the polarity, and we would be at each other's necks about different things. She was living in her masculine a lot more than she should have been.
Or it was
that emasculates me, makes me act like kind of a bitch. I'm just being a bitch.
Yeah.
And so,
or it was like kind of like we would like teeter-totter and tiptoe around things because, in the beginning of our relationship, we weren't really like fully open and honest about like, and I mean, me personally, I wasn't like confident enough to be like, I want XYZ, right? And you had like this perception of like, well, I don't want a gold digger. And I was like, well, and I internally, I was like, I just want a man that takes care of me, you know, like I really, really yearn for that. But then I don't want him to think that I'm being a gold digger and taking advantage of him. And it's like this weird, like, but and he's like, like I don't want to feel like taken advantage of, but like, anyways, once we like broke through that, and I mean, it takes some time, and like, and that's why it's great that we're talking about this, because like it should be an open, honest conversation with your partner of like what you expect from each other. But yeah, now that it's just like fully laid out on the table that like I love you wholeheartedly, and I want to be able to fulfill like my role as a woman within the home, like creating the warmth, the creativity, like, you know, in the next few years, having kids with you, like taking care of Reg, taking care of you, like all of that just gives me like the best ooey gooey feelings. And seeing you like strive to be the strongest man, it's amazing. But
It's
I
changed
was like,
everything with our
but
relationship.
I felt weird like being like, can you take care of me? And can you like, pay for all the groceries and like pay for the mortgage and like and then like I'm and when we weren't like before the transition, like I would keep trying to work and like to like, okay, I'll cover these bills and I'll cover these
But then
bills.
she's like making way less money and she's stressed out all the time. And I'm like, wait, what are we doing here?
Because you can't really like ask for it, right? You can't really ask like, hey, can you pay the bills? Like a guy has to bring
I guess
that
a guy
to
has
you,
to bring it,
right? Because you were trying to do it by being like, okay, well, I'll do this.
I'll
but
pay
like,
the Wi-Fi bill.
Right. I mean, I did that in the beginning too.
Or I think a woman, you know, has to have a standard, right? Obviously, like you girls didn't know this because you didn't know that men, you know, weren't introduced to this. But women watching our show, you know, they can say, oh no, hey, when I go on a date, like the guy, like I need to have some standards. Like he needs to take care of me. He needs to pay for
100%.
things. He needs to, you know, how many times have I gotten by as a guy? I was like, oh yeah, we go out for a couple of drinks.
Yeah, that's
like,
how we
you know,
went
it's like
on our first date.
But
I'm
like not letting a guy get away with that, because you know what he's thinking when he's like, I'm like, okay, it's minimum investment in order to get laid. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but I knew you weren't getting laid, so I was like, all right.
Yeah, I saw a nipple note, but
That's all you get.
Well, for us, it was, I mean, I was 21. It was 4 or 5 dates before we just kissed. Before I let anything happen.
That's
and
good.
those were overnight dates too.
Yeah.
I was like,
Great.
these are real fancy dates. So I was like, I like these dinner dates.
My dad's been
That's how
watching
you
the
catch him.
podcast, so he's gonna know I showed you a nipple on our first date.
Oh, well,
now.
yeah,
That's
I mean,
great.
My dad.
but yeah, but that's the thing is like having those standards for it, and it's funny because again, both men and women get flack from their peers about it, because guys, they get called simps, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're a simp. You're a simp. Oh, you're providing for, you know, a woman, like she's not paying the bill. You're paying for everything. Oh, you're a simp, right?
Yeah.
And then women get harassed by other women. It's like, oh, you're just
like, you're not
wanna
empowered.
stay
Right.
at home.
I know it's so shitty. Like, the stay at home, like to belittle into a stay at home mom, right, or a stay at home wife, or like whatever the case might be. How mean is that for women? And it's not even men that are doing it. It's women. It's women on woman crime that I'm seeing.
It's
Like,
jealousy, a lot of it.
Well, I
Because
think that's a lot of it, right? Because if you don't have a man that's taking care of you in that way,
Right.
and you're out like, you know, grinding at work every day, and then someone else is like, oh yeah, my man takes care of me, and,
Right.
you know, like
Exactly.
I'm all like happy and living in my feminine. Like another girl that doesn't have that available to her, I could see why she'd be upset about that.
Yeah.
Just like
yeah.
from a jealous standpoint.
But it is a lot of tearing women down. I know sometimes
is
when
tearing
people are
women
like, what do you do? I'm like, don't ask me that question. I'm like, I don't mind saying it, but like you said, I don't know how someone's going to react to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is weird because this is new, right? Like,
Right.
this is the new age of things where you have to feel uncomfortable about that. If you
Right.
went back to like the, you know, 50s,
Or I
60s,
feel like we
that's
have
just
to,
the norm.
like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, prove ourselves before we became a stay-at-home, you know, wife or mom. You know, I'm like, I went to college. I have a degree. I could, you know, if I needed to do something, I
run shit if I need
could.
to. Yeah.
Right. And I've lived in that. And so I'm confident in that. and here I am now.
Yeah.
Well, I think
but that doesn't even matter.
But
Like,
that's why,
yeah.
that's honestly a big part of, I think, why I'm so down to take care of Sabrina and John's down to take care of you is because, like, we know that if we're not around, you guys represent us well and you can handle shit
Yeah.
Right.
and you speak intelligently and you can represent our families well. And so it's like, at the end of the day, I don't want a stay-at-home wife that also is just like worthless. Like, right? Like, we want someone that can represent the family and like, and if we're not around, they handle shit.
Yeah.
And also, like, managing a household is
Yes.
a job.
Oh, for sure.
It's
so
a
much.
full-time
Absolutely.
job.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Especially the way we just like can tear through shit. You know, it's like,
I am grateful that you're not a messy person. No, you're not. You're not. But he does like to leave his hats everywhere.
They all have their little things.
Yeah.
We got to leave our things around.
Yeah, he just has hats everywhere. I'm like,
Mementos,
why do you
yeah.
have so many hats?
So you remember me.
we're showing you love.
He's like, just a little sprinkle of me. But no, it is, to me, it sucks to see, you know, women being demonized for wanting this soft life
Yeah.
and for being made to feel smaller than what they are, when in reality, like, ladies, like, we're working smarter, not harder.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
like,
Well, plus the soft life, like us
We're-
giving you a soft life is good for us. And the
Right.
reason
But
for that
also-
is like when I'm out in the world, in business, handling shit, it's like go, hyper competitive. You know, it's not soft. It's
Right.
like you have to be on point. You have to be driving forward. You have to be like on your edge, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, like if my wife was also living that life, we would be coming home with just this like energy. And I can't, I need to like let that off.
Decompress. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need
just
to
two
decompress
dicks in the
that.
house.
Yeah, like I need to like be able to come home and
Exactly.
have
Yeah.
softness at home,
Yeah.
and like, you know, come to my wife and have it be like, help me unload that gnarly, like, it's, you know, there's like this tension that lives in you when you're on your edge and like being competitive. And
Right.
so I think if you don't create the soft life at home with your wife, then you're going to just be always in that mode, cortisol levels just ripping through you.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Like gnarly diseases, you burn out, all these things that like your health will deteriorate if you don't have like some sort of softness to take your edge off at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, there's also the conversation of like, you know, what's the word that I'm thinking of right now?
Like balance?
Moderation, right?
Oh.
Like moderation in like, yes, let's go, let's get it as a man. But then you come home and it's like you get to soften. And even in that soften, you get to like rest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, and then that gives you like that rejuvenization to be able to go right back at it and like do it all over again, right? And then for women, I think also like we are completely like biologically and molecularly built different. Like
Yeah.
we have different.
We can't handle that.
We can't.
Not
we can't.
24/7.
No,
Not going to a
we
9
are
to
not-
5.
We are up and down,
Right.
up and down,
Yeah,
and
I
then
mean,
up, and
we've got our-
then like
We're on
we got
like
our
a
luteal
28-day
phase.
cycle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
luteal
got
phase.
Exactly.
Guys have a 24-hour cycle. Their
Yeah.
testosterone hits the same time every day. They
Yeah.
can do it every day, but ours, we're not the same.
Yeah.
And it's like, why has society been feeding us this lie? Like, oh, girls, like, be a boss, babe, do it yourself, blah, 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 blah.
Well,
Like,
because then you get to tax 2 people in a household. So it's, I mean, it's really, it's a lot of the same reason that society is, I mean, trains workers instead of entrepreneurs. It's like,
That's true.
it's a control mechanism. And I think making women work is a way to control society.
Yeah.
yeah. And it's just, it's more empowering to be able to know, like, I have a healthy, strong, firm home,
Mhm.
and I am the foundation. I'm like, I am the heart of the home.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus like, I'm trudging to try to keep this chimney or like this, not chimney, what's it?
Choo-choo
Train.
Train.
Yeah, exactly.
Choo-choo train going.
We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
The chain rolling. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like versus just being like, I'm just here like being like strong for my man, and then he comes home and like, well, you're always home because you work from home.
Yeah.
but you
But
know
yeah,
what
when
I
I'm
mean.
like,
Yeah.
can turn off. properly.
I mean, I think that's why this is so important and why John and I wanted to start this, and especially glad to have you guys on, is because there needs to be more content like this.
Right.
Because we've been fed so much content. Like we've been talking about, like, be independent and don't trust people.
Well, like,
and
look
so
at, like,
seeing it.
Well,
finding friends like you guys.
In girls'
It's-
rooms.
There's a lot. We don't, we have some friends like you guys. And then we have other friends that we've known for a long time that are,
just kind of stuck in
living,
that.
men that are a bit in their toxic masculinity, women that are, out grinding and, and that she can't really be real about our home life because she's like, has to be timid about.
Right. Yeah. I
Well,
can't
like,
really.
I mean, you know what it is being a girl, right? Like in a girl's room, you're, there's all this like chitter chatter to be like strong, be independent, be blah, 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 and sometimes us as women are our own worst enemies. Like, and I don't know where it stems from necessarily. Like, I know we touched on it slightly about like, the jealousy aspect of it, but also like being honest with yourself, knowing that like it's okay to want to live a soft life. It's okay to say like, I don't want to have to be in charge of it all. And that doesn't...
For the woman. For
that
the men,
doesn't...
stay hard.
but that doesn't make you...
lesser.
I am a
it's
strong,
beautiful.
powerful, beautiful woman. And I'm like fully empowered in my life to live a great, grandiose life. Like...
I feel like they just have never experienced, unfortunately, what you and I have experienced. And I think it comes more from a place of lack of knowledge of what they can do with their femininity when they are with a strong masculine man than anything. But what you said is 1,000% true. And what they also need to realize, like you said earlier, is that because you guys have the dynamic you have, you are also free without the pressure of like financial matters or things like that to pursue what you want to pursue.
Yeah.
And John would support you. And you don't have to worry about, I got to pay my 50% with my business that I'm starting.
Right. Yeah.
You can just be like, John's got that handled. They're both John, by the way.
I know.
Did we say that earlier?
Wait, hold on. There's
Jahan.
a clear difference. Clear difference. He's Jahan.
And
He's John.
And he's John. They're different. Same, but different.
But I think also people get afraid because of, and that's why we call it, we invented the word, by the way, the modern traditional relationship. Right? Because traditional relationship, right, the way it used to be was the woman stayed at home, is in the kitchen, taking care of the kids, and the man, he works and traditionally, I think the reason why she had to listen to him, obey your husband, and it was because woman didn't have a way to support herself. Like she had to find a good man that, maybe not even a good man, but a man that makes money is a good man, like with a paycheck.
Back then, that's
right?
What,
and so that's how things were. And so the submission of a woman to the dominance of a man was not voluntary. It was out of necessity.
Right.
And so people are afraid of that. They're afraid of, I don't want to go back in time where women were suppressed, right? And I don't want to be this macho man that just tells a woman what to do.
Yeah.
And things were like that perhaps for a lot of relationships, traditional, but the modern relationship is all out of whack where everybody can do it. But what we're trying to say is that it's the most beautiful thing in a relationship.
Yeah, because the woman has the choice to.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. She's choosing you.
She said, I trust this man. I'm putting my life into his hands, not because I could make money on my own. I don't have to, I'm not forced into that situation, but I listen to him. I let him lead because I trust his judgment, not because the Bible says so or whatever it is. It's because this is a man. I understand it, and I want him to lead my life. I feel like he can do a better job of leading my life than I could, and I'm cool with that. That means a lot more because when you're not forced into the situation, and that's what we're. That's why I think that's so valuable, and that's the most powerful thing that you can have.
It's totally true. It's like I have wholeheartedly like the utmost trust in you to like lead our family right. Now, with that being said, right? Like, is it like I'm just like bending down at your will No, obviously we're having conversations about like, would you like this or would you like that?
No, and I think that's where I think there could be a mistake around that, as if it's like, like in this type of relationship, I like run shit, and I'd say it's like I run shit. Yeah, outward facing the world.
Yeah.
I'm running shit.
But
In the
it's a
home,
conversation.
like we're partners, and like her feminine power is so strong that I want to go run shit in the world to give her the life that she deserves.
And
I think that that's something that gets mistaken. It's like, oh, women are weak for wanting this life. And it's like,
Right.
no, you're so strong and you're
so
feminine
strong.
that this masculine man like wants to give you the world.
Yeah, because it's, you know, like if Nicole is, if you guys are, and I'm trying to think of like an actual, like maybe a touch point specific, but like if there's something, there's always a conversation. It's never like, I think women are afraid of like the control of a man, and I think there are men that can be controlling, and that can be scary,
that's toxic.
And that is toxic.
Yeah.
But when you know that when you're in a good relationship, when there is that like, yes, I'm gonna follow you, but also like the conversations and flows, because it's all a vibe. It's all like, hey, babe.
It's like we now. It's what
Yeah,
we've realized. Like we've been trying to move away from the you, me, everything. Like you're doing this, or no. It's like if I were to come at her about if she's not doing something something I don't like, and I need to address it. If I'm like, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, I'm like attacking myself in a way. If I bring her down, if I knock her down a couple pegs, that is basically just knocking me down. Like it's just changing the energy in the home. She's sad now. All of a sudden, like things aren't right. And so what we've been really trying to focus on is like it's we with everything. And so if we're coming at each other, then we're not, you know, we're doing damage to us.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we're building each other up, we're building up us. And so, I think that is
really good way to
one
look
thing
at
that
it.
people get mistaken with in this more modern is that
Yeah.
it's like, oh, the man's in charge and he's running shit because he's making the money. And it's like, no, the reason I want to go make that money is because my woman's so powerful and she brings so much like heart into the home that I want to just feed that and give her the life that she deserves.
And I think of it as, you know, I like to use the analogy of the captain of the ship. Like a good captain of the ship, he goes down with the ship, right? So he's still in charge, right? Ultimately, he's going to call the shots, and you know, and the crew's going to respect him because they trust him. But the reason why the captain of the ship is trusted is because he should be putting the crew first, the welfare of everyone else. That's why, like, the captain goes down with the ship. Everyone else gets rescued. And so as a man, if I'm expecting a woman to follow me and to listen to what I have to say, to have that authority, then I have to have responsibility, because you can't have responsibility without authority. And so I know in our relationship, you know, Nicole trusts me to make decisions. Obviously, I'm going to solicit her input on the things. Ultimately, even if she disagreed with me, she's going to go along with what I said because she trusts me as the leader. But the reason why I would say that she has that trust is because she knows that I'm putting her first. I'm putting the ship first, the family first. It's not my own motives or not my, I don't want to have power for the sake of being power. I want that to
your
magnify.
intention is for the good of the family.
Exactly.
Like for the good of your home. Like, and that's like the biggest thing, right? Is like, where's your intention lying, right? When you're looking at these different polarities, is like, is your intention by being hyper masculine as a woman for yourself, or is it for the good of others? You know, we've had this conversation a lot recently where it's like, it's not just all about ourselves. It's about like, how can we be the best selves to service to others versus service to ourselves. And being led with great intention and like honorable, you know, integrity, and like, and that's why Nicole trusts you, you know, and that's why I trust John. It's just like, because I know his intentions will never like lead me astray, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
and he
leaders.
knows you.
Yeah. And good leaders don't have to say, you need to do what I say.
Yeah.
Like, yes, technically I have the authority to say that, right? But I would never use that, right?
Exactly.
And it's, unless it was an emergency, and there's like,
and then it's like, no, come on,
like,
right
no, we
now.
gotta go now.
We're gonna
Like,
get hurt.
this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
in that situation. But a good leader, even not in a romantic relationship, but it's a leader of men, as like, is going to people are going to follow because they trust, because they know that that person is looking out for them and the good of the team. And so that's like, I think a lot of people picture in their head as just barking orders, but that's not even good leadership in general. Even if you have the position of authority, even if you're the president of whatever, then you can command by giving orders. If you see a good leader, they're never going to do that. Even if they have that 100% authority and everyone has to listen to them, they're going to get people to follow them based on, first of all, servant leadership, that they're doing the actions first by example, and then because those people know that it's for their good, not for your own gain. So
I know that they're afraid of controlling men. That's a big fear that's pushed on women. But I think women also need to have the confidence to know that they know what a controlling man is, because they have definitely encountered one at some point versus the kind of man that we're talking about.
100%. And have your wits about you, Like, I've been in a controlling relationship where it was just like, whoa, like this is, and where it was disguised as like, I'm trying to be masculine, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But it's like, no, you're like micromanaging me in a very toxic way, right?
Right.
Versus like with John, like I'm fully empowered to be, my own person, but also one within the relationship.
Right.
And it's like, come on, guys, like let's use some common sense here, know? Like if it's an apple, it's an apple, or like, just
like, you will know the difference.
You will know the difference. Like there's a little voice inside of your head like that tells you this is not okay.
Right.
And this is right.
Right.
And having that honest, true, like inner monologue with yourself and inner conversation with yourself to be like, am I happy right now? Am I in a safe space right now? Because there is that worry, right? Within a traditional relationship about the control. And it's like knowing, no, you're in a safe space, Right. And a lot of women, me personally, have come from like abusive homes, and or abusive relationships or whatever it might be. And relinquishing that like control or like whatever can be daunting. It could be scary. It could be traumatizing. But knowing like when it is the right person, knowing when it comes from a good place, you just have you that it is the right person, right? And internally, your heart's gonna know.
Trust your intuition.
Trust your intuition, women. Like,
because it's the right person.
It's the right person.
Because the thing is, because guys sometimes mess this up, and women will often use the words controlling and insecure because that really will cut a man. Because many times guys will say things like try to put boundaries and say, I don't think it's a good idea for us to be going out or to be going out with the girls to a bar, that type of thing. And, you're being controlling, you're insecure. And it's like, no. In that case, again, it comes down to the guy. Where this guy's coming from. Another guy could say, oh, no, you can't go to, like, where are you going? Like, and being controlling of everywhere you're going and what you're doing. And that's a different man, right? That's coming from a different place.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it does come down to the like if you do you trust this person? Yeah. If you trust him, then you know that where it's coming from.
100%.
And I think when you were talking earlier about how like women that maybe aren't in a relationship that are listening here and they're like, okay, I want to find that, and you're like, you should hold that maybe expectation when you're going on a date that you're going to find a man that is going to take care of things. I think women should hold standards in that way. I think there's also like women out there that are in relationships that should like right now up their standards.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like if you're with a man who's like not living in his masculine and you're kind of having to like battle with him all the time and you're having a 50-50 on everything and like that man is struggling, like his best self isn't who he is right now.
Right.
And he might just need you to like ask for more, like rely on him more so that he can step into that masculine role and like push himself to be a better man. I think
You've read The Empowered Wife, haven't you?
I haven't yet.
You haven't read it? That's essentially like what she tells women to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And-
we were just talking about it. She has it on her Kindle. I haven't read it yet, though.
But that's essentially what she tells women to do to men. And a lot of these women are the ones that we're talking about that have gotten like more masculine dealing with these guys. And it's hard for them to relinquish that control. But you're spot on because that's what she says to do.
I think that coming from Sabrina, right? Like as we've been together for off and on for 7 years-ish.
Yeah. Well,
and
we
like
were
together steady for 3 years.
together for reals for 3.
But, and I would say in the last year or two, maybe a year and a half, I've like really started stepping into a lot of my own self-development, getting into, I read The Way of the Superior Man, most recently Masculine in the Relationship. I've like started to dive into a lot of my own, mindset coaching around, masculine and feminine energy and the way to like see true success in my relationship. And as I've been learning these things and implementing them in my relationship, like she's also been pushing me to, to be that. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've had our trials and tribulations throughout our relationship, like within the last few years, but it's the beautiful, like, fact, like, even if you're in a relationship currently, like, we've been together for officially now for 3 years. Before that, we were friends with benefits. And like, I would like kind of like tiptoe around these things around you.
But then when she started asking for things, I'm like, shit, let me make that happen.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and when you're tiptoeing around it, or like, and it depends how you ask for things. If you're like, hey, I want this.
Yeah. And I would like kind of attack you. I was like,
she'd be like, you never take me on dates. And I'm like, fuck you.
And then
we go on dates. Like, what are you talking about? But like, it was like more from felt like an attack on things versus hey, I would love it. I would love it if you took me on a cute date. I'm like, oh shit, she loved that.
Or I saw this cute restaurant.
Yeah, I'm going to jump through hoops to make that happen for her. And so I think for people that are in a relationship but maybe aren't feeling like the polarity that they would like, I think it's like you can make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
I think a man can step into his masculine and then his woman's going to be more feminine.
Yeah.
A woman can ask for the things that she wants out of a man and can relax more into her feminine and like show that feminine side, and the man's he wants to see more of that.
And that's
so
like
he's going
the
to provide to
empowering
make
part,
that happen.
right? Like, I see on social media, like women talk about like, oh, now you're just like, like bowing down to the patriarchy or whatever. And it's like, no, I'm literally.
We always joke.
Oh, well, we do have this joke.
People say like, fuck the patriarchy.
I was like,
And
I am
Serena's
fucking
like,
the patriarchy. No, but like.
It's true. People say it's like it's a bad thing. Patriarchy is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Like fatherly taking care of people. That is the goodest thing that there can be.
It. Like you guys are talking about it. And again, I'm so glad you guys are talking about it, especially like telling women that it's okay to want things because
it's powerful.
Well, and if you want it, then your man is gonna most likely make it happen if it's like the right man for you.
How powerful is it for me to be like, babe, I want this, and then boom,
yeah,
like, and then I just got what I wanted, and
you like vision board stuff, and I'm just like, oh shit, like. It drives me to want more for us too.
Yeah.
It's like
women will always be more powerful than a man because if that
100%.
woman makes that man as powerful as she can by supporting him, she can still get him to do whatever she wants at the end of the day because she can just say, and again, it shouldn't be used in a manipulative way, but it's so easy to get a man to step up by saying, it's really hot when I get really turned on when you do this, like, or I really want this. This would make me so happy.
Yeah.
Those are the things to say. And even the most 50-50 guy is going to be like, oh, it's really hot when you think that's hot.
Watch me start doing more.
Yeah. When you make decisions, when you decide what we're going to eat and that's hot. Like, oh, okay, yeah. When I feel like you're providing for me, when I feel like you're taking care of all the things, and I can just be in my feminine, it really turns me on, gets me like, oh yeah, that's how you're gonna get a guy to.
Well, I think there's people that would disagree with us on everything we're talking about right now, and I think those are people that just aren't owning their roles in the right way. Because once you do, because I would have pushed back on this too back in the day, like when I was like kind of brainwashed by current society. I was like, oh no, like you got to be careful and watch out for these gold diggers, and you don't need it. Like that was just me
living out of
No,
scarcity.
I was
Like,
the
being
same
a
way,
bitch.
but the woman
Like-
version. And
Yeah.
I've said the same thing. Like I would watch stuff that we do now and be like, yeah, okay, whatever. But that's why I think it's a lack of knowledge from people. And hopefully, even if they haven't met their perfect person like we've met, you know, ours, that they can still listen to what we're saying.
If they haven't met their perfect person, they shouldn't worry about meeting their perfect person. They should worry about becoming the best version of themselves.
Yeah. You're
right.
And then once they do, like the rest, you know, the universe takes
It'll
care
attract,
of you.
yeah.
And here's the best reason for it, I think, that is the most convincing, which is that, like, most relationships, what happens is that you do have some kind of polarity to begin. Otherwise, you wouldn't even been attracted to each other. So the guy's at least somewhat masculine, woman's feminine. You get around each other too much and you rub off on each other, and then you depolarize, and you're kind of the same. And so what happens to that sexual like desire that you had, it fizzles, and most people think that's just normal. That's that you're out of the honeymoon phase and that. But if you have a relationship where you constantly have a masculine and feminine, you're constantly going to have that sexual energy all the time, and it's never going to
100%.
fizzle, and you can live your whole life like that. And I used to wonder how people did this, because I remember one time
Stay turned on by each other.
I was listening to this radio, back before I met Nicole, in when I was married before, and this lady called in because they're talking about how much do you love your spouse, or whatever. And this woman, she's like, yeah, I've been married to my husband for like, I think she said like 10 years, and she said, I'm still just so turned on by him. I'm just every day, I'm just like so in love with him. And when I heard that, I was like, what? How's that even possible? You know what I mean? But probably they had that kind of dynamic in their relationship, because most people think that, and science tells you, right, the chemicals in your brain, that you have the bonding, the oxytocin, and that's why you get together. But then over some period of time, then that diminishes, and is biologically created so that people would mate, but it's supposed to diminish over time. That's not true. It doesn't have to be.
You can keep it flowing.
Yeah.
I mean, like my grandparents, my grandpa passed away in 2016, but like he would like forward emails to like my dad saying like, this is a little special pill I'm using, like, because they were in like a
getting it on.
they were like a traditional relationship. Richard and Adeline Smith, like just still getting
still humping.
But like, I mean, honestly, and I can say it truthfully, like a few months ago when I was like still like trying, like grinding my butt off, trying to like run my business, at the end of the day, I'm like, don't even touch me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired. I am like drier than the Sahara Desert right now. I just want to go to bed. Like, my brain is tired. My eyes are tired. And like right now, I'm just like kind of chilling and like getting stuff done throughout the house. And like, obviously,
just soaking wet.
Well, I mean, like last night was fun, But
No,
like
yeah,
it is true. Like our sex life has gotten like incrementally better, like substantially better than what it was when I was like stressed out. Like
well, and just because like it goes both ways. Like a man's gonna be more turned on by
And
his
we were,
woman
like-
if she's more feminine,
Right.
Yeah.
And how is she gonna be more feminine? Well, you get her out of her masculine energy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like you're looking at her and you're like, damn, there's that little spark, that little like, oh yeah, like versus she's living in her masculine and has that energy. You're kind of like, oh, just avoid this right now.
Yeah.
Like that seems like trouble.
Well,
So
yeah. And the feminine mind, like, I mean, just like the sex part, the lesson on sex is the feminine mind. I mean, you girls can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're having sex, like if there's other things that are in your mind, like there's, I got to take care of this, or like this is going, like all those thoughts are going on in your head.
It's like my RAM is full. I'm like, if I have 30 emails and like a meeting tomorrow, like, no, I'm not thinking about fucking you. My brain is at capacity. Sir, get your dick away from me.
Because
literally, absolutely not.
women have a diffuse attention where they're paying attention to multiple things and all these things, where men compartmentalize. As a man, I'm like, okay, it's work mode. Okay, now it's sex mode. Okay, it's like, it's like whatever I'm doing, that's all I'm focusing
like crying,
on.
and then John will be like, all right, you ready? I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm still emotionally processing.
No, we take so much longer to process things. Like John, when I would be working in my office, some like random days, it's funny that you say like sex mode, work mode. He'd come into my office like at the door, and he'd be like, do you want to fuck? And I'm like in the middle of like designing whatever I'm designing. I'm like, absolutely freaking not. Like, I definitely don't want to have sex right now.
Turn off the work mode. Let's go.
Like,
Yeah,
no.
you have
Don't worry
to
about that.
mentally work yourself up as a woman. Like,
But as a man, if you create, that's the incentive for men is that if you de-stress her
Right.
by
Yeah.
taking care of all the bills, taking care of when you do travel, you book all the things and figure out all the logistics, do all the stuff so she could just be a little princess and just relax. Then
And then she's like,
yeah. And isn't it worth it? Isn't
hey,
it
daddy.
right, there's less things on our mind. So easier to switch into the mode that you want us to be in.
Yeah.
100%. And it's just like, I mean, even like I traveled with my best friend, a girl best friend, for a long time. And I was the one like planning, booking all the flights, booking all the Airbnbs. And I was getting like really stressed. And this is like pre me knowing anything about like femininity and masculinity. And I started doing some random Googles, like, why am I so stressed out? Blah, blah, blah. And just like in Google. And it was like, oh, I'm living in my masculine. I'm like, and then I go to my best friend. I'm like, can you start booking things? Because I'm miserable right now.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh yeah. You know, like,
Because she was being just a girl. Because
She
you
was
were
being
being a
just
man.
just a girl.
she was being just a girl. And
Yeah.
like,
And
I'm
you were
like,
stressed. You're like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I hate you so much right now? But I like love you, but I'm like stressed out, you know?
Like, you're both supposed to be just girls.
Yeah.
But these things end up like it's like people are. I mean, we get it all the time, but people are so opposed to it, and they think, and it's like, yeah, but if you just let go of that for a minute and just realize that, hey, maybe see what it feels like to live as a man in your masculine, to take care of all the things, and as a woman in her feminine. It's just a better. It doesn't like
When you
forget
say
about
people are
equal.
opposed to it, like, oh, like your viewers. That,
Yeah, they're like,
Or
oh,
like
equal
anyone
rights
that
and all
you
this
know.
stuff and all
Yeah.
these things that they. And it's like, yeah, but if you just forgot about all that stuff that you knew before,
Yeah.
and you just said, okay,
let's try this out.
right,
Yeah.
then you would find a lot more peace and joy and happiness
100%.
in that. You know, it's like you don't have to represent all the things and be like, oh, I'm not holding up my part of the feminist movement or whatever, like all that kind of stuff that, you know, we get in our heads is
and
like,
I'm all about like, hey, let's make healthcare better for women, like, you know, contraception better for women, like all of those different things in regards, like, yes, 100%. But I think making women feel like they have to be the man in the relationship is detrimental to our health. Like,
Yeah.
and like, just, I mean, I can like show off I don't have my phone on me right now, but if I go through my Aura ring compared from now to like 4 months ago when I was like just working nonstop,
Oh yeah, your stress levels were just
off the charts. And like,
yeah.
and it's just not natural. Like it really isn't. Like, and this is really like a push for men to like step up to the plate. And also women to like
ask for it.
Hold
Yeah.
your man to a higher fucking standard.
We want it.
yeah,
It pushes us to be a better man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you
Like,
got to be
Yeah.
pushed. So.
yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like we can push ourselves so far, but when our woman like wants more from us, we're gonna just like continue to evolve so much faster.
Exactly.
I want another
yeah.
Prada purse.
and men are opposed to it too because of the whole 50-50 thing, and right, and it's
Yeah.
like, and they're afraid of being. How many guys tell me, oh, if I take a girl out on a date and pay for it, then she'll just be taking advantage of me, and I'm like, you got the wrong frame, dude, because you know, if you go out, if a girl has the privilege of going on a date with you, then that's worth more than the meal and anything else, and if she just wants the meal, then it's fine. Like you there's plenty. There, you know, abundance mindset and
Abundance.
thinking, like if you're thinking people are going to take advantage of you,
Then they are.
yeah. But if you
Yeah.
think you're so valuable, that how could someone take advantage of the financial part of you when they would be missing out on the
Like
greater
everything
part?
else you offer. Yeah.
Because you know you're a man and you're in your masculine and you know you take care of people and you know you get your shit, then it doesn't matter. Then you're not worried about that kind of stuff. But so many guys now are caught up in this. It's like I'm amazed by how many guys are sick of the woke liberal type of propaganda and media, but at the same time, then they want to do 50-50. And I'm like, you
Yeah.
can't have both.
Right.
If you want to be like go and go whatever and you know, dye your hair blue and do all that kind of stuff, go ahead. But if you want to be the man and you don't like any of that stuff, then you can't be 50-50. You got to step up 100%.
Yeah.
and be
Well,
the
I
man.
think from a man perspective, you also have to like, if that's where your head is, then there's probably some other stuff you got to work on too. Like if you're tripping on a girl taking advantage of like a meal out, then like you need to make more money so that doesn't fucking bother you.
Exactly.
Like if you're like these little things, if you're like fat, you're poor, you're whatever, like fix it, dude. Focus on yourself, fix that. The right woman's going to come along. Don't worry about what women are doing. You still have some work to do on yourself before you should worry about what a woman's doing.
100%. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we should do the end segment here, and then we can.
Oh, is that how long we've been going?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do them about an hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Fun.
yeah. So this is where we share our shit.
Basically.
So it's up to you how much you want to share or divulge, but I don't know if it's whose turn is it. But,
we weren't like arguing, but
No.
I was being negative. I forget why.
it was
Probably just stressed out from like Sophia was kind of like upset about something, and I'm very much a like energy taker on her. So
You're
like
a
when
woman?
she's happy, I'm like, yeah. When she's sad, I'm like, it's okay. But then she keeps being sad, and I'm like, oh, now we're all sad. So I think I was just overwhelmed. And John was like, you're being negative, and I'm like, I don't know how to be sad and not be negative. And so we just had a long conversation
in the tub
about that. Yeah, in the tub.
But it was good because I think what came out of it was this idea that, like, I think because you had this concept in your head. Well, it still kind of relates to feeling like you have to earn love, right? And I think what we were talking about was this idea of that the opposite, that you can't have gratitude and negativity at the same, or victim mindset. So like the negative comes from the victim mindset, but once you're looking at the lens through gratitude, then you can't have the victim mindset. You have to pick one. And so by focusing on the gratitude, like turning the things around, because I think a lot of even just the self-talk that you gave yourself sometimes would be a little bit like harsh on yourself, as opposed to like, because I think one of the things you said was like how do I know you're never going to leave me? Or it was something like that, or you won't get tired of me. And as opposed to turning around and saying, oh, it's so great I have a guy who's never going to get tired of me. It's so great
That just seems so delulu to me, though, which it's like, I know.
But you got to pump yourself with that, and that's what is that, because that,
which
the
it can be hard
it,
to, because I'm still, there's still times I get stuck in like the scarcity mindset or like abandonment or whatever it is, or all the things. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I'd rather worry about it. So I'm prepared, but it doesn't actually prepare me. And it's like, I know all these things in my mind, but it's breaking that habit. Like Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, such a good book. But it's essentially that. It's like you get in these habits that you have to break by, John helped me with this, by changing it rather than, because I would probably beat myself up and be like, don't do that, Nicole. And then it would probably work a little bit, but then I'm also like shaming myself, which is not good. But instead of, trying to stop cold turkey, replacing the habit with something positive is a better way to look at it than
just flipping it around.
Which it is hard to do, but it does work. Like when we focus on gratitude, and like it's funny you say in the tub, we just jumped in the.
I know we had a tough session.
Yeah,
is that our next? Is
that our
a new podcast?
The tub talk.
Yeah, but
we would get a lot of viewers.
We jumped in the tub and we were talking through just like some of our shit, and then we just started like leaning into like, well, what are we grateful for? And we started like listing things off, and it was like, well, obviously I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for Reggie, our dog. I'm grateful for this house and your car. But then we're like, well, let's like really dig in here. What else? And we're like, okay, our family. I'm grateful for my brother and Tessa and his girl and their kid. And then your family. And then we start talking about our friends. We're like, we've like changed the proximity of the friendships and we just like really started leaning into all these different little nuances of things that we're grateful for. Yeah. And, you go through that session for like 10, 15 minutes.
We've done that a few times.
Yeah. You come out on the other side of it and like, everything else you were bickering about, you can just like handle in 2 seconds. It's like, oh, this is what we're fighting about. Okay, well, here's where I should have showed up better. Or here's how you could have showed up, in a way that was going to be more conducive to our success in our relationship, whatever it is. But you can like knock that shit out so much easier. And a lot of that comes with like, what we found is like, you got to move your body. You got to like be in a good physical state. Because if you're just sitting there on a couch, just like in your shit, and you've been scrolling on social media and you're in like a hole of depression, like you can't
John
pull
can
out
like
of that.
see it. Like
I'll see her start
in
to
my
go,
face.
or like she'll just be talking to me, and I'll just feel like the energy
She'll be
shifting.
like, babe,
and I'm
we gotta
like,
go on a walk.
babe, get up. And she's like, I don't want to. I'm like, you have to then.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah,
like,
you
I'm-
have- now you
like, you
definitely
have to.
have
If you
to.
don't want to, then you have to.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta get up. We
I'm
gotta
like,
move.
don't touch me. And
Yeah, I was
he's
like, all right, I'm picking you up then. Like,
That-
we're
that's
moving
such a
our
great
bodies.
demonstration of being masculine is like not being phased by it and like
Yeah.
not
I
like
don't wanna get up.
not reacting
And
to
I'll be
the
real.
mood and being like, oh well, that's not nice.
But let's be real. Am I phased by it? I am.
Yeah,
I'm
but-
trying not to show that.
Right.
Right,
Because it's
exactly.
like the whole be responsive instead of reactive. Because my instant reactivity is like, come on, motherfucker. Like, can't do that.
Yeah.
So then it's like, all right, take
or
a deep breath.
your your old response would be like, okay, fine, then I'm just walking away.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
not dealing with this then.
Exactly.
Like, oh, you're not in the mood. All right, I'm not dealing with that.
Embracing the difficulty.
But that's
of
not, that
But
doesn't
then
work.
he like
Right.
just embraces it fully,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Nope,
Yeah.
babe, like come on." And he's literally been like, he's like picked me up off the bed,
And I'll be like,
and then I'm
all right,
like,
I guess we're in a mood right now because it's
We're
us.
in a mood.
If you're in
Yeah.
a mood, I guess I'm in a mood. So
Yeah.
we're in a mood, and how do
he
we
picks
fix
me
this?
up and then
Yeah.
in the motion of picking my little bratty ass up, I'm just like,
He gets in a better
I'm
mood
literally-
instantly.
And it has
I'm
to
literally
flip you, right?
the
Exactly.
purple like devil emoji. I'm like, and then I'm in a better mood immediately, and then
Yeah.
we're just like,
And then we start talking about
And
what
we're
we're
like,
grateful
okay.
for, and then all of a sudden, then we'll address whatever the issue was.
Yeah.
And it's usually from a
and,
place of
and none of the issues are really ever that grave.
no. It's
but
just
it's
once you
just
start,
like-
it's usually just like mindset, and it's
Yeah.
like one of us is in the right mindset, and we start just acting wrong to each other. It happened like a week ago. I was like, I'm dealing with this like one of my companies is being audited by the EDD, and it's like the most California bureaucratic nonsense. It's just like the most frustrating thing. The stupidest thing. But I was dealing with it all day. And my energy with Sabrina was like, I was stressed. I was stressed about this shit. I was having to do all this paperwork, just like all this nonsense. And I was putting that out. I wasn't like handling it myself or talking and calling John and talking through it. I was like putting it on Sabrina. And then all of a sudden, like her mood shifted. She started like being snappy about stuff. And I had to like go internal and think like, wait, what just happened? Like she's been like soft all day. Now this all changed. How am I showing up? And I was like, oh dude, I've just been like dumping my stress on her all day.
Yeah.
And now she's in a mood. And I was like,
We are
oh, okay.
very much chameleons.
What
with
happened
the-
here?
Yeah.
And then I had to come back and be like, babe, I just put that on you all day. Like what I think as a man, like if you just flip inward and look at how you're showing up and take that extreme ownership, you'll see how fast. Like as soon as I like owned it, I was like, this was on me. Babe, I'm sorry I brought this energy. Like I watched it change your mood. She's just like, oh, like I didn't even realize what that was. But yeah, like cool. Now we're good.
Yeah. It did turn the whole day around because it was like, our day was going like south.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh,
You just owned
It's
his
better
shit.
now.
it's better
Yeah.
now. Yeah. And because, women were such empaths, right?
Yeah.
Like naturally we take on, we're just emotional, beautiful
Yeah.
little creatures. And so, it's just like, it's very dependent like on like a man. And it's not to say that you're not allowed to have your emotions. Like, please, like have your emotions, but like how it's like conveyed and like, and then realizing like, oh wow, like what you were just saying, like I'm having this negative emotion. How can I come at this from a better and grateful angle? And you did, because that day you're like, I'm grateful that I'm getting audited, and like,
Yeah,
what's the
I'm learning
positive
some
in
stuff
this?
from this. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden
Yeah.
it turned everything around for us. So
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so easy to flip a woman's emotion, but I forget that myself. It's like, but that's the thing is, it's like you can fight it, and then you're gonna have a fight.
you can get down on that level with them and bicker.
Yeah.
And now you're both being a bitch.
or you can scoop them up.
Yeah,
and,
or you can
know,
just-
So literally
Change
just
the
scoop them
mood.
up and then just be like,
Exactly.
you're not doing
Let's
this.
play.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, yeah, awesome. It's great having you guys.
Yeah,
on
thanks
here.
guys. That was really fun.
Yeah,
Would you
and-
like to come back for the next one
Yes.
in 5 minutes?
Since we batch. Well, thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you next week. Make sure that you leave us a review, on the Apple Podcast app or Spotify. We still have banana fingers for the last review says banana fingers. So that cannot keep on continuing in 2025. So it's your mission to put something else
I have
there.
a lot of questions.
Yeah, and we'll read it on the air, obviously. So it's a good, whatever you want to put, whatever your message is. So hopefully it's positive. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
week.